We're moving, come on!
What's going on, friends? I hope you've been doing great and thank you for tuning into my video. What's playing right here is some Battlefield 1 Conquest on the map Argonne Forest, and I'm playing as support. And you know, while Battlefield 1 is amazing, let's face it, that's not why you're here and that's not why I'm here. If you happen to miss the ruckus, the next gen Battlefield title was just announced as Battlefield 2042. I just watched the trailer not long ago. It was pretty doggone epic. If you haven't seen it, go check it out right away. The link is in the description, and then come back here. So right after that, I swang by Westy's channel, who is a veteran Battlefield YouTuber. He dropped a video immediately afterwards with some early access extra information regarding the game. In this video, I'll be covering some of the things I felt were the most important key points in that video. But if you want to see Westy's full video, you already know there's a link in the description. So if you haven't put two and two together, this year's release of Battlefield will be set in the not too distant future in 2042, which actually isn't too different of a theme from Battlefield 3 and 4. Both of those were set several years in the future. The first pretty big piece of information is that there will actually be no story or campaign mode. Instead, they're taking a different approach yet again, like they did in Battlefield 1 and 5. Instead, they're going to be focusing on multiplayer, but there is actually a story and narrative behind the game, and they plan on telling that narrative through the multiplayer itself. While we're hitting on multiplayer, potentially one of the most important things about Battlefield, definitely the most important thing about this Battlefield, it's gonna be up to 128 players on next gen and PC. Yeah. Obviously, the maps are going to be absolutely enormous. I guess one way you can get a rough idea is by thinking of a game of operations on Battlefield 1. Only the entire server is your team, and there's another server-sized team you're going up against on one big map. The word is that multiplayer is going to be split into three main focuses, which have only been referred to as All-Out Warfare, Hazard Zone, and a third mode which won't be announced until EA Play Live on July 22nd. All-Out Warfare is supposed to be the traditional Battlefield experience with modes like Conquest and Breakthrough. Personally, I'm not too familiar with Breakthrough. That was a mode introduced in Battlefield 5, but it sounds like a operation style mode where you're pushing through sectors of a map. Hazard Zone is something completely new that they've come up with, and it's supposed to be smaller and more squad based, but they've made a point to emphasize that it's not a battle royale. The only thing we know about the third type of game mode is that they designed it keeping the old timer Battlefield vets in mind. Now for one of the biggest changes that they could have possibly made. There are no more classes. I say again, classes are gone. No medic, no engineer, no scout, no support. Well, what the heck do you mean, Delta? How are we gonna play the game without characters? Their new approach involves using operators instead. Now in Westy's video, he didn't really emphasize on the transition between the traditional classes and operators, but I shared a few thoughts with somebody on Twitter about it, and another person was kind enough to chime in and drop a link to a Reddit that explained a little bit more. Personally, I'm not familiar with the whole operator specialist style of multiplayer. I do know that games like Rainbow Six and Apex Legends have a similar system, and it appears that that's exactly what they were aiming for. So instead of having classes, every operator will essentially be one of the traditional classes and will play like a scout, medic, engineer, or support class. Beyond that, as long as you're familiar with other operator systems from other games, there isn't much to know. Each operator has, unique abilities like drones, turrets, stuff like that. We do also know that the types of weapons available to each operator will be more like Battlefield 4, where there was a subset of weapons that anybody could use regardless of their class. Another new feature that Westy mentioned was that you'll now have the ability to edit your weapon. He didn't say loadout, he said weapon, live in the game. So that means you'll no longer have to wait to die to make a change to your weapon. So vehicles. What would Battlefield be without vehicles? That definitely is another staple aspect of the series, and they've made some changes in that department as well. Now, instead of waiting at the spawn screen staring at a blank vehicle slot and spamming it to death, you can actually call in vehicles and they'll drop to a selected location. According to the developers, this was a way to make them more accessible, and that does make a lot of sense considering we're going up to 128 players. As with any game that comes out these days, there are additions to the release, and that'll look something like this. Of course, you can pause if you like, but in a nutshell, if you pre-order the game, you'll get several bonuses regardless of the edition, but most importantly, you get early access to the beta. The standard edition is just that, the game itself. The gold edition will give you early access to the game launch itself, a 1-year pass, and the cross-gen bundle. 1-year pass meaning downloadable content, things like that. And the cross-gen bundle, I imagine, is what will allow you to not have to buy the game on last and next gen consoles. You'll only make one purchase. Lastly, the Ultimate Edition comes with everything that I've mentioned before, but with the addition of the Midnight Ultimate Bundle, I have no idea what that's about, and some soundtracks and artwork. Are you hyped up after all of this information, or are you keeping your feelings a bit more reserved? I'd like to see your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the spill on what we know so far about Battlefield 2042, leaving a thumbs up will let me know and help this video get out to other awesome people like yourself. Up next for me, I'll be dropping a video very soon with my first thoughts and impressions on everything. To stay tuned for that and more of my content, make sure you've hit that subscribe button with the bell icon, which will let you know when I upload again. Thank you for watching, and hope you come back sometime.